Our topic for today is the transformation from polar coordinates to rectangular or Cartesian coordinates. So, for example, we have r and the angle theta. We are interested in finding the x and y coordinate of this point. So we can make a right triangle, and then this is your x and this is your y, and using the trigonometric functions, we can solve for x and y given the angle and the r, or the hypotenuse. So y is opposite the angle and r is the hypotenuse. So opposite and hypotenuse is the trigonometric function that we need to use is sine. So sine theta is opposite y over hypotenuse r. So multiplying r on both sides, r sine theta is equal to y. And then for x, this is adjacent to the angle and still the hypotenuse. So the trigonometric function we need is cosine function. So cosine theta is adjacent over hypotenuse, which is r. So multiplying r on both sides, we have r cosine theta is equal to x. So we will be using these two formulas to solve for x and y. Okay, so as like a review, we have four quadrants. So quadrant 1, the sign of the x and y for quadrant 1 are both positive. For quadrant 2, the sign is negative and then positive for the x and y respectively. For quadrant 3, both x and y signs are both negative. And for quadrant 4, it is positive on the x and then negative on the y. So we'll also be using, to avoid using the calculator, I will be using special angles from special triangles for our examples. So I'll just draw the special triangle first. So 30 by 60. So the 30 by 60, it is 1, 2 and square root of 3. So that's a 30 by 60 angle. Now the sine, so sine of 30 opposite over hypotenuse. So sine 30 degrees is opposite over hypotenuse 1/2. Cosine of 30 degrees, cosine adjacent, square root of 3 over 2. For 60, so opposite of sine of 60, sine is opposite, so opposite is square root of 3 over opposite over hypotenuse, which is 2. Cosine of 60, so adjacent to 60 is 1 and hypotenuse is 2. So cosine of 60 is 1/2. So the next special triangle is 45 by 45 by 90. So this is 45 degrees. This is also 45 degrees. This is 1 square root of 2. So 1 square root of 2. Yep. So sine of 60. All right. Sine of 45 degrees is equal to, sine is adjacent, opposite 1 over square root of 2, opposite over hypotenuse. So yeah, this is not a rational number. We'll discuss it in a different topic. So cosine of 45 is adjacent, which is also 1 over square root of 2. So we will be using those for our examples. So example 1, we have 8 as the length of the R and 30 degrees. So that is our example 1, which is in quadrant 1. So let me draw that. So there's it's not a good drawing, but yeah. So let's say this is 30 degrees and the length is 8. Now we can solve for x and for y. So for x is r cosine theta, so x is equal to r, which is 8 cosine of 30 degrees. 8 cosine of 30 degrees is square root of 3 over 2. Square root of 3 over 2. So your x is equal to, so divide by 2. So your x is 4 square root of 3. Now your y is r sine theta, so 8 sine of 30 degrees. So y is equal to 8. Sine of 30 is 1/2. So 8 and 1/2. So your y is 8 divided by 2 is 4. So your x and y, your Cartesian coordinate is, for x is 4 square root of 3 and y is 4. They are both positive because they are in the first quadrant. So this is your answer for example 1. Example 2, which is in the second quadrant, is 6 and 120 degrees. So let me draw that one. So this is 90. So this will be 30 degrees from after 90. So around this. So let's say this is 6 units. So this is 120. Now this is the one that we want to get. So this is your x, this is your y. So let me rewrite that one. It will become like this. So this is your 6. So this is 6. So this is still y and then your x. This is, if this is 120, this is, so 180 minus 120 will be 60 degrees. So this is 60 degrees. So if this is 60, this is a right triangle, this is 30. Okay. Now, so we can just use the 60 degrees. So we don't need the 30 anyway. Yeah, I'll just remove it to avoid confusion. So we can solve for x and y using this 60 degrees and 6. So for x, so this is x is equal to, our x is r cosine theta. So x is r, so 6 cosine of theta, which is 60 degrees. So 6 cosine of 60 degrees. Cosine of 60 is 1/2. So we can replace it with 1/2. So 6 divided by 2 is 3. So this is, your x is 3, and then your y is r sine theta. So 6 sine of 60 degrees. So still 6 sine of 60 is square root of 3 over 2. Square root of 3 over 2. So cancel out this one. So this becomes 3. So your y is 3 square root of 3. So now in quadrant 2, your first number, your x is negative, your y is positive. So your x is negative. So this is negative. So your x is negative 3. and then your y is positive. So 3 square root of 3. So this is your x and y for this point is negative 3 and 3 square root of 3. Negative 3 and 3, yeah. So example 3. Our example 3 is in the third quadrant. Let's say it's 10, and then the angle is 225 degrees. 225 degrees. So it will be in the third quadrant. Let me draw it in here. So 225. So this is about here. So your angle is from here to here is 225 degrees. And then this is 10. So let's say this is 10. This is 10. So your angle will be in here. This is your right triangle. Let me rewrite that one. Sorry. We will rewrite this as only as a right triangle. So the right triangle would be like this. So this is 225 degrees. So to get this angle only, this from here to here is 180. So 225 minus 180 is equal to 45 degrees. So this angle is 45 degrees. Now this is 10. So this is your x, this is your y. So your x is equal to r, which is 10, cosine of 45 degrees. So 10, so x is adjacent, yeah, cosine of 45 degrees. X is r cosine, yeah. So cosine of 45 degrees, so 10, cosine of 45 degrees, cosine is 1 over square root of 2. 1 over square root of 2. So your cosine of 45 degrees is 10 square root of 2. That's an irrational number, but we'll discuss it later as long as you have an answer. So for y is 10 sine of 45 degrees. So 10 sine of 45 is the same. 10 1 over square root of 2. 10 over square root of 2. So they are the same number. But since this is in the third quadrant, in the third quadrant they are both negative. So your x and y will both be both negative. Negative 10 over square root of 2. Negative 10 over square root of 2. This is your answer for the third question. And then the last number would be at the fourth quadrant. Let me erase this quick. For the last number, we can finish in one go. So our fourth number is in quadrant 4. Let's say your example, your polar coordinate is 4 and 330 degrees. So if this is your plane, so 330 degrees would be all the way from here up to here. So that's 330. So this is your line, and that is 4. So this this length is 4. So we can draw a right triangle again. This is your right triangle. Let me rewrite the triangle here. Not a good drawing, but it's alright. So this is your 4. Now, this angle, the whole circle is 360, but this angle is only 330. So 360 minus 330, this is only 30 degrees. And then this is your x, this is your y. So again, we just solve for the values of x and y. So x is r cosine theta. So your r is 4 cosine of 30 degrees. So 4 cosine of 30 degrees is square root of 3 over 2, square root of 3 over 2. So 4 divided by 2 is 2, so it will become 2 square root of 3. That's your x. Your y will be 4, where's y? 4 sine theta, which is 30 degrees. So 4 sine 30 degrees is 1/2. So this is 1/2. So 4 divided by 2 is 2. So your y is 2. Then checking our fourth quadrant is positive, negative. So your x is positive, 2 square root of 3. And then your y is negative. This is negative. Right. So this is negative 2. 2 square root of 3 and negative 2. So this is your x and y.